The impossible assignment. The alarm bells had stopped ringing 3 hours ago, but Commander Ralphin still felt his 4 hearts beating too fast. He pressed his blue face against the thick glass window and watched something that should not be possible. A human sat next to the most dangerous creature in the galaxy, calmly eating his lunch. This cannot be real, Ralphin whispered to himself, his long fingers shaking as he held his data pad. The human's name was Teju. He was 28 years old and came from a planet called Earth. 3 months ago, the Galactic Research Station desperately needed someone to watch the Vorac. 17 alien guards had tried before, all 17 were dead. The Vorac was a monster from Grimhold Prime, a world where everything wanted to kill you. It was bigger than a space truck, its teeth could bite through metal, its spit could melt steel, and its claws were sharp enough to cut diamond. But right now, the Vorac was gently taking a piece of bread from Teju's hand. How is he still alive? Dr. Yuno asked, stepping up beside the commander. She was another human, but she worked in the science lab. Her black hair was pulled back, and thick glasses reflected the strange scene before them. Every report said this creature kills anything that comes near it. Ralphin turned to look at her. Your people are strange. Maybe all humans are crazy. Maybe, Dr. Yuno said, writing notes on her pad. But look at the readings. The creature's stress levels are the lowest we've ever seen. Its heart rate is normal. It seems happy. Happy. Ralphin wanted to laugh, but he was too scared. Nothing made the Vorac happy. It only knew how to kill and eat and destroy. Through the glass, they watched Teju stand up and brush crumbs off his blue work clothes. The Vorac lifted its massive head, its yellow eyes following the human's every move. Time for your exercise, big guy, Teju said. The creature made a sound, not a roar or a growl, but something that sounded almost like a cat purring, only much deeper and louder. Teju walked to the control panel near the glass wall and pressed a button. A door opened on the far side of the room, revealing a larger space where the creature could move around. Come on, Teju said, patting his leg like he was calling a pet dog. The Vorac stood up. It was 3 meters tall and 5 meters long, its black skin looking like armor. Spikes ran down its back, and its tail had sharp points that could stab through concrete. But it followed Teju like a gentle giant. Impossible, whispered Ralphin. Dr. Yuno kept writing notes. The creature shows pack behavior now. It sees Teju as its leader. Leaders get eaten by Vorac, Ralphin said. Not this one. They watched the human and the monster walk into the exercise room. Teju picked up a large metal ball and threw it across the room. The Vorac ran after it, moving fast but careful not to knock Teju down. It's playing, Dr. Yuno said, her voice full of wonder. A Vorac is playing fetch. The creature brought the ball back to Teju, dropped it at his feet, and sat down like a dog waiting for praise. Good boy, Teju said. He reached out and touched the creature's head. Ralphin nearly fainted. No one touched a Vorac and lived. The acid on its skin could burn through gloves in seconds. But Teju's hand was fine, and the creature even leaned into the touch like it enjoyed being petted. The acid production has stopped, Dr. Yuno said, reading her instruments. When it's calm and happy, the defensive chemicals shut down. Other aliens had gathered at the windows now. Word was spreading through the station. Scientists, guards, and workers all came to see the miracle. A tall alien with green skin pushed through the crowd. Captain Czar, head of security, looked furious. This is dangerous, he said. That human will get killed, then the creature will break free and kill us all. It's been 3 months, Dr. Yuno replied. If it wanted to kill him, it would have done it by now. Vorac don't make friends, Captain Czar said. They make meals. But even as he spoke, they could see he was wrong. The creature was lying on its side now, and Teju sat next to it, using the creature's arm like a backrest while he read something on his data pad. Look at the brain scans, Dr. Yuno said, showing her pad to the others. The creature's brain activity changed after the first week with Teju. New pathways formed. It's learning behaviors it never had before. What kind of behaviors? Ralphin asked. Loyalty. Protection. Affection. The word affection made all the aliens step back from the window. A Vorac feeling affection was like a star learning to sing. As the shift neared its end, Teju stood up and walked back toward the main room. Another human named Miho would take over for the night. The Vorac followed Teju to the doorway between the rooms, but when Teju stepped through, the creature stopped. It knew it had to stay in its area. I'll see you tomorrow, buddy, Teju said through the glass door. The creature pressed its face against the glass, its yellow eyes looking sad. Then it made a sound that changed everything. The universal translator began to work, converting the sound into words that everyone could understand. Thanks, Boss Dad. The entire room went silent. Even the air conditioning seemed to stop. Teju smiled. You're welcome, son. He walked away, heading to the locker room to change clothes. Behind him, the Vorac watched until he was gone. Commander Ralphin looked at his data pad. He had to write a report about this, but who would believe it? A human had made friends with death itself, and somehow, death had learned to say thank you. Dr. Yuno was still taking notes. This changes everything we know about interspecies relationships. This changes everything we know about humans, Ralphin said. Outside the station, stars twinkled in the black of space. None of them knew that today, the galaxy had become a different place. Today, a monster had called a human Dad and meant it. The revolution had begun with two simple words, thanks, Dad. The galaxy takes notice. Captain Jamon was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency message came through. He was on his ship, the Earth Defender, floating in space near Jupiter. The coffee was hot and bitter, just how he liked it. The message made him spit the coffee across his desk. 12 alien governments want to hire humans, he said to his computer screen. For what? His communications officer, a young woman named Sujin, ran into his office. Her face was red from running. Captain, you need to see the news feeds. Something big is happening. Jamon turned on the main screen. News reports were coming in from everywhere in human space. The headlines made no sense. Human tames death beast on Titan station, child makes friends with pack of void hounds on Mars, zoo worker controls crystal monster on Europa. What is happening? Jamon asked. Sujin pulled up more reports. Sir, it started 3 days ago, after that story about Teju and the Vorac went public. Humans everywhere started reporting similar things. The screen showed a video from Titan station. A human zoo worker named Hyojin was feeding a crystalline death worm. The creature was beautiful but deadly, its body was made of living crystal that could cut through anything. But it was eating fruit from Hyojin's hand like a gentle pet. The death worm killed 4 alien handlers last year, Sujin said. Now it follows Hyojin around like a puppy. Another video showed a Mars colony. A 10-year-old human girl named Nari was playing with 3 void hounds. The creatures were black as space and had teeth like knives. They had terrorized the colonists for months. Now they were rolling on their backs while Nari scratched their bellies. This is impossible, Jamon said. That's what everyone is saying, Sujin replied. But look at this. She showed him a message from the Galactic Council. 12 different alien civilizations were asking for human beast handlers. They were offering huge amounts of money. The Altarians have a problem with shadow stalkers, Sujin read. The Centurions can't control their war beasts anymore. The vegan empire has plasma dragons that keep escaping. Jamon sat down hard in his chair. They think humans can control their monsters. After seeing what happened with Teju, they're willing to try anything. Back on Research Station Omega 7, Dr. Yuno was working late. Her lab was full of new equipment. Scientists from across the galaxy wanted to study the human-beast connection. She looked through the glass at Teju and the Vorac. They were playing a game where Teju would hide behind pillars and the creature would find him. Every time the Vorac found Teju, it would make happy rumbling sounds. It's learning complex social behaviors that its species never showed before, Dr. Yuno said into her recorder. Commander Ralphin walked into the lab. He looked tired, his blue skin pale. The Galactic Council wants answers. They're sending a research team here tomorrow. What kind of answers? Dr. Yuno asked. They want to know if humans can be trained to handle all dangerous creatures. They want to know if this is some kind of human superpower. Dr. Yuno laughed. It's not a superpower. It's just kindness. Kindness doesn't stop acid spit from melting your face, Ralphin said. Maybe it does, Dr. Yuno replied. Look at the data. When the Vorac feels safe and loved, its defensive systems shut down. No acid, no aggressive behavior, no killing instinct. Through the glass, they watched Teju sit down for his dinner break. The Vorac lay down beside him, resting its huge head on Teju's lap. How does he do it? Ralphin asked. He talks to it like its family, Dr. Yuno said. He never shows fear. He sets rules, but he's never cruel. He plays with it. He cares about its feelings. Creatures don't have feelings. This one does now. A new alarm went off, not the danger alarm, but the communication alert. Dr. Yuno checked her screen. It's from Earth Central Command. Captain Jamon wants to talk to us. The screen flickered, and Captain Jamon's face appeared. He looked worried. Dr. Yuno, we have a situation. Reports are coming in from everywhere. Humans are bonding with dangerous creatures all over the galaxy. That's wonderful, Dr. Yuno said. No, it's not, Jamon replied. The alien governments are panicking. Some think humans are using mind control. Others think we're planning an invasion using their own creatures against them. Dr. Yuno felt her stomach drop. That's not what's happening at all. I know that, and you know that. But try explaining it to a Centurion war chief whose battle beasts now refuse to fight because they've bonded with human trainers. On the screen behind Jamon, more reports were scrolling past. A human mechanic on Proxima Station had somehow made friends with a rust eater, a creature that could dissolve metal with its touch. A human janitor on the asteroid mining station Series 9 was now the beloved leader of a pack of rock crawlers that had previously been killing miners weekly. The pattern is the same everywhere, Jamon continued. Humans approach these creatures without fear, show them kindness, and the creatures respond by becoming protective and loyal. But the alien governments don't understand it. Dr. Yuno looked at Teju and the Vorac through the glass. The human was now reading a story to the creature, and the massive beast was listening intently. We need to show them, she said. We need to demonstrate that this isn't about control or conquest. It's about connection. How? Ralphin asked. Dr. Yuno turned back to the screen. Captain Jamon, how many of these bonded pairs are there now? Last count was 47, Jamon said. And growing every day. Then we invite the Galactic Council here. Let them see what's really happening. Let them meet Teju and the Vorac. Let them understand that this isn't about humans being superior, it's about humans being different. Ralphin shook his head. Some of the council members are calling for humans to be restricted from contact with dangerous species. They're scared. Then we show them they don't need to be scared, Dr. Yuno said. We show them that what's happening isn't a threat, it's a gift. As if on cue, Teju finished his story. The Vorac nuzzled against him gently, making soft purring sounds. Through the glass, they could hear Teju's voice, "Sleep well, buddy. I'll see you in the morning." The Vorac settled down, still watching Teju as he prepared to leave. Just before the human walked away, the creature spoke again, "Love you, boss dad." Teju smiled. "Love you too, son." The three observers stood in silence, watching this impossible scene. Somewhere in the galaxy, the future was being written, one act of kindness at a time. The human solution. The Galactic Council arrived at Research Station Omega-7 with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. 12 different alien species, each more suspicious than the last, filed into the observation deck. Dr. Yuno had prepared for weeks, but seeing them all together made her nervous. Ambassador Keth of the Altarian Republic spoke first. His silver skin gleamed under the station lights, and his 4 eyes never stopped moving. "We have come to see this human magic for ourselves. Our shadow stalkers have killed hundreds of our people. If humans can truly control them." "It's not control," Dr. Yuno interrupted gently. "It's partnership." Centurion War Chief Brack slammed his massive fist on the table. He was 3 meters tall and covered in natural armor plating. "Partnership? These beasts understand only strength and fear. Nothing else." "Perhaps we should observe before we judge," suggested Counselor Yama of the Peaceful Viridian Collective. Her green scales shimmered as she gestured toward the glass. "The human is beginning his shift." They all turned to watch as Teju entered the containment area. The Vorac, who had been pacing restlessly, immediately perked up. The massive creature bounded over like an excited dog, its tail wagging so hard it cracked the concrete floor. "Morning, big guy," Teju said, producing a paper bag from his pocket. "I brought you something special today." Ambassador Keth leaned forward. "What is he giving it?" "Homemade cookies," Dr. Yuno said. "Teju bakes them himself. The Vorac has developed quite a sweet tooth." The alien delegates watched in stunned silence as the galaxy's most feared predator gently nibbled cookies from Teju's palm. Its acid-producing glands had shut down completely months ago. Its razor-sharp claws were carefully retracted so it wouldn't accidentally hurt its human friend. "Impossible," whispered General Thax of the Draconian Empire. "Vorac are berserkers. They know only rage and hunger." "This one knows love," Dr. Yuno said simply. War Chief Brack snorted. "Sentiment makes creatures weak. How can your humans use these beasts in battle if they have made them soft?" "Who said anything about battle?" Dr. Yuno asked. "Look at your data pads. I've sent you reports from every human creature bonding case we've documented." The delegates began reading. Their expressions slowly changed from skepticism to wonder. "The Rust Eaters on Proxima Station," Ambassador Keth read aloud. "They no longer consume the station's hull. Instead, they eat scrap metal and help with recycling efforts." "The Void Hounds on Mars," added Counselor Yama. "They now serve as rescue animals, using their ability to see in absolute darkness to find lost colonists in the cave systems." General Thax looked up from his pad. "It says here that the crystal worms on Europa are now helping with precision cutting in the manufacturing plants. Their crystal manipulation abilities, once used for killing, are now creating art and tools. You see," Dr. Yuno said. "This isn't about weaponizing these creatures. It's about finding their true potential." Through the glass, they watched Teju begin the daily exercise routine with the Vorac. But today was different. Today, he was teaching the creature something new. "Sit," Teju said, holding up his hand. The Vorac sat, its massive haunches settling on the floor with a gentle thud. "Stay." Teju walked to the far end of the room. The Vorac trembled with the effort of staying still, clearly wanting to follow, but it obeyed. "Good boy. Come." The creature bounded forward, but instead of its usual playful charge, it moved with careful precision, showing that it could control its immense strength. "He's teaching it discipline," War Chief Brack said, and for the first time, his voice held respect instead of scorn. "True discipline, not the kind beaten into creatures through fear." Dr. Yuno nodded. "Fear creates unpredictable behavior. Love creates trust. Trust creates cooperation. Counselor Yama was reading more reports. Dr. Yuno, it says here that young Nari on Mars has taught her void hounds to help with agriculture. They use their digging abilities to prepare soil and their pack hunting instincts to protect crops from smaller predators. And Hyojin on Titan Station, Ambassador Keth added, has his crystal worm creating beautiful sculptures that are selling for millions of credits across the galaxy. The economic implications alone. General Thax trailed off, his reptilian features showing what might have been excitement. Dr. Yuno smiled. We estimate that human-creature partnerships could revolutionize dozens of industries. Construction, mining, agriculture, transportation, even entertainment. But how do you train humans to do this? War Chief Brack asked. What is your secret? There is no secret, Dr. Yuno said. We're not training them to do anything special. We're just letting them be human. She gestured to where Teju was now sitting with the Vorac, showing it pictures on his data pad. Teju isn't a professional animal trainer. He's a maintenance worker. Hyojin was a janitor before he started working with the crystal worm. Nari is just a child who saw some scary creatures and decided to be kind to them instead of afraid. You're saying any human can do this? Ambassador Keth asked. I'm saying most humans will do this, given the chance, Dr. Yuno replied. It's part of who we are. We form bonds. We empathize. We see potential where others see only danger. Through the glass, the Vorac had settled its massive head in Teju's lap while the human read to it. The scene was so peaceful, so normal, that it was hard to remember this was supposedly the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. I will need to see more examples, War Chief Brack said slowly. If this is real, if humans can truly transform our problem species into productive partners, then the Centurion Empire would be very interested in an alliance. As would the Altarian Republic, Ambassador Keth added. One by one, the other delegates expressed similar interest. Only General Thax remained silent, his scales darkening with what Dr. Yuno recognized as deep thought. General, she asked. Do you have concerns? I have a question, he said finally. What happens when one of your humans dies? What happens to the creature they've bonded with? Dr. Yuno felt her stomach clench. It was the question she'd been dreading, because she didn't have a good answer. We don't know yet. Most of these partnerships are only a few months old. The Vorac lives for over 200 years, General Thax continued. Teju will be dead long before it is. What happens then? Through the glass, they watched Teju stand up to leave for his lunch break. The Vorac nuzzled against him one more time before settling down to wait for his return. I guess we'll find out, Dr. Yuno said quietly. But I have a feeling that love like this doesn't just disappear when someone dies. It finds a way to continue. As if hearing her words, the Vorac looked directly at the observation window. Its yellow eyes met Dr. Yuno's gaze, and for a moment, she could swear she saw something ancient and wise looking back at her. Boss Dad come back, the creature asked through the universal translator. He always comes back, Dr. Yuno said, though she wasn't sure if it could hear her through the glass. The Vorac settled down to wait, its faith absolute and unshakable. The delegates filed out, chattering excitedly among themselves about possibilities and partnerships. But Dr. Yuno remained at the window, watching the creature that had started a galactic revolution simply by learning to love and be loved in return. The future was full of questions, but for now, in this moment, that was enough. Galactic transformation. 6 months after the Galactic Council's visit, the universe had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Captain Jamon stood on the bridge of Earth Defender, looking at a status report that seemed impossible. Sujin, read this back to me, he said to his communications officer. I want to make sure I'm not hallucinating. Sujin cleared her throat. As of today, there are 1,247 active human-creature partnerships across 89 different worlds. The Altarian Shadow Stalker incidents have dropped to 0. The Centurion War Beast Rebellion ended when the creatures chose to protect their human partners instead of their former masters. The vegan plasma dragons are now powering 3 entire cities through controlled flame generation. Jamon shook his head. What's the economic impact? Conservative estimates suggest that human-creature partnerships have generated over 500 billion credits in new economic activity. The art created by crystal worms alone has become the most sought-after luxury item in 12 sectors. On Research Station Omega-7, Dr. Yuno was fielding calls from across the galaxy. Her lab had become the unofficial headquarters for what the media was calling the interspecies revolution. Dr. Yuno, her assistant Marcus called out, "We have the Zephyrian ambassador on line 3. Something about their storm kites." Storm kites were massive atmospheric creatures that lived in gas giant clouds. They were beautiful but untouchable, their bodies generated electrical fields that could fry any spacecraft that came too close. For centuries, they had been considered a navigational hazard. Ambassador ZYX, Dr. Yuno said as the alien's face appeared on screen. The Zephyrian looked like a living prism, their crystalline features constantly shifting color. "How can I help you?" "Dr. Yuno, we have witnessed something extraordinary. A human named Kevin Walsh was part of a survey team that crashed in our upper atmosphere. The storm kites found him first." Dr. Yuno leaned forward. "Is he alive?" "More than alive. The storm kites have bonded with him. They're carrying his damaged ship through the storm systems, using their electrical fields to power his life support. He's been living with them for 3 weeks. That's incredible, Dr. Yuno said. Storm kites have never shown protective behavior toward any other species. It gets better, Ambassador ZYX continued. Kevin has learned to communicate with them through electrical patterns. He's discovered that they're not just animals, they're intelligent. They have a whole civilization up in the cloud layers that we never knew existed. Dr. Yuno sat back in her chair. First contact with a new intelligent species, mediated by human-creature bonding. This is unprecedented. The storm kites want to establish formal relations with the galaxy. But they will only communicate through Kevin. They trust him completely but view other species with suspicion. It was the same pattern emerging everywhere. Humans weren't just taming dangerous creatures, they were unlocking hidden potential, revealing intelligence where none was expected, and bridging gaps between species that had existed for millennia. Back in the Vorac containment area, Teju was having his own breakthrough. The creature had been restless for days, making sounds that the universal translator couldn't interpret. Dr. Yuno joined him for the evening shift. He's trying to tell me something, Teju said, watching the Vorac pace. But I can't figure out what. The Vorac approached the glass wall and began making complex markings with one careful claw. The scratches formed patterns, not random destruction, but deliberate symbols. Those look like. Dr. Yuno pulled up her data pad, comparing the markings to her xenolinguistics database. Teju, I think he's writing. Writing what? Dr. Yuno's eyes widened. It's ancient Grimlish, the written language from Grimhold Prime. But this dialect is older than anything in our records. The Vorac finished his markings and looked at them expectantly. Dr. Yuno fed the symbols into the computer's translation matrix. Others, sleeping, below, home world, wake them. Teju stepped closer to the glass. You want to wake up others like you on your home planet? The Vorac's response was immediate and enthusiastic. It began making more markings, faster now. Pack, family, lonely, too long, trust boss dad friends, help. Dr. Yuno felt her breath catch. Teju, I think the Vorac on Grimhold Prime aren't just monsters. I think they're the remnants of an intelligent species that devolved due to isolation and trauma. Your friend here, he's remembered who he used to be. The implications were staggering. If there were more Vorac on Grimhold Prime who could be reached, who could remember their intelligence and social nature. We'd need to contact the Galactic Council, Dr. Yuno said. This could mean first contact with an entire planet of beings we thought were just predators. Teju placed his hand on the glass. The Vorac pressed its massive paw against the same spot on the other side. "What do you think, buddy? Want to go home and help your family?" The Vorac's response was simple but profound: "Yes, boss dad. Help family. Make peace." Across the galaxy, similar discoveries were happening. The Void Hounds on Mars had begun creating complex tunnel systems that showed clear signs of architectural planning. The crystal worms were forming cooperative colonies and producing art that seemed to tell stories of their species' history. The Rust Eaters had developed a form of metallurgy that was revolutionizing manufacturing. Every creature that had bonded with a human was revealing hidden depths of intelligence, creativity, and social structure. They weren't just dangerous animals, they were sapient beings who had been trapped in cycles of violence and fear for so long they had forgotten who they truly were. Captain Jamon received an urgent communication from Earth Central Command. The message was brief but momentous: all human civilians with creature bonds are hereby classified as interspecies ambassadors. This is no longer just about animal training. This is about galactic diplomacy at the highest level. Dr. Yuno stood at the observation window, watching Teju and the Vorac plan their journey to Grimhold Prime. Around the galaxy, 1,000 similar partnerships were breaking down barriers that had existed for centuries. Humans, it turned out, had a gift that no other species possessed in quite the same way: the ability to see the person inside the monster, to offer trust where others offered only fear, and to believe in redemption even for those who seemed beyond saving. The revolution that had started with 2 simple words, "Thanks, Dad," was reshaping the entire galaxy, one act of compassion at a time. Tomorrow, they would take the first steps toward Grimhold Prime. Tomorrow, they would discover what other wonders awaited in a universe where love truly could conquer all. The new era begins. 2 years had passed since the first Vorac called a human "Dad," and the galaxy was unrecognizable. The expedition to Grimhold Prime had been a success beyond anyone's wildest dreams. What they found there changed everything. Dr. Yuno stood in the newly constructed interspecies communication center on Grimhold Prime, watching through the massive viewing windows as hundreds of Vorac moved through the restored city. They weren't the mindless predators the galaxy had feared for millennia. They were engineers, artists, philosophers, and poets who had been trapped in a generational cycle of trauma and isolation. The neural pathway restoration is complete in 93% of the population, reported Dr. Kess, a Vorac scientist who had been among the first to regain his full cognitive abilities. His voice through the universal translator was deep and thoughtful. "My people remember who we were before the Great Forgetting." Teju, now officially titled First Ambassador to the Vorac Nation, sat beside his original friend, who had chosen the name Grim in honor of their home world. The massive creature was carefully crafting a sculpture from crystallized volcanic glass, his previously destructive claws now creating beauty with microscopic precision. "Tell her about the discovery," Teju said to Grim. Grim's yellow eyes brightened. "Boss Dad, we found records. Ancient records. The Great Forgetting, it happened to other species too. When civilizations become isolated, when they lose contact with others, when fear becomes their only emotion, they forget their higher nature." Dr. Yuno leaned forward. "You're saying this has happened before?" The Shadow Stalkers, the Void Hounds, the Crystal Worms, all of them were once advanced civilizations, Dr. Kess explained. They're not just animals that became intelligent through human contact. They're intelligent beings who lost themselves to centuries of trauma and rediscovered their true nature through human compassion. The implications were staggering. The galaxy wasn't filled with dangerous monsters, it was filled with traumatized civilizations that had forgotten who they were. Captain Jamon's voice crackled through the communication system. "Dr. Yuno, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. The pattern is accelerating. Every species that's bonded with humans is showing signs of restored cognitive function." On the screen, images flashed from dozens of worlds. Storm kites were building floating cities in the clouds of gas giants. Rust eaters had established sophisticated recycling networks that were cleaning up centuries of industrial waste. Void hounds were creating underground transport systems that connected entire continents. It's not just individual bonds anymore, Dr. Yuno said. It's species-wide awakening. Commander Ralphin, now serving as the Galactic Council's official liaison to the Interspecies Communication Center, approached with a data pad. His blue skin had regained its healthy color, and his 4 hearts beat with excitement rather than fear. The Council has made a decision, he announced. They're establishing the Department of Interspecies Recovery. The mission is to identify and help restore any species that may have lost their cognitive abilities due to trauma or isolation. Teju looked up from where he was helping Grim with his sculpture. That's going to be a big job. The biggest in galactic history, Ralphin agreed. But if humans are willing to help, the Council believes we can heal wounds that have festered for millennia. Dr. Yuno walked to the window overlooking the Vorac city. In the distance, she could see the massive memorial they had built, a towering structure dedicated to the memory of the great forgetting and the promise of never forgetting again. We're not just healing individual species, she said. We're healing the galaxy itself. Young Nari, now 16 and serving as an official ambassador to the Voidhound communities, appeared on the communication screen from Mars. Dr. Yuno, the Voidhounds want to share something with you. The screen shifted to show a vast underground chamber. Thousands of Voidhounds had gathered, their sleek black forms moving in perfect synchronization. They began to sing, a haunting, beautiful melody that seemed to come from the very heart of their world. It's their restoration song, Nari explained, tears streaming down her face. They sing it every day now, to remember who they were and who they're becoming again. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. Hyojin and his crystal worms had created a stunning memorial garden on Titan, where sculptures told the story of recovery and renewal. Kevin Walsh and the Storm Kites had established the first aerial university, where young beings from multiple species learned to navigate not just the skies, but the complex relationships between different forms of life. The economic impact alone, Captain Jamon reported, is beyond calculation. But that's not the real measure of success. What is? Dr. Yuno asked. Peace, Jamon said simply. For the first time in recorded galactic history, we're seeing a decline in interspecies conflict. When you understand that the monsters you feared were actually traumatized neighbors, it becomes impossible to hate them. Grim finished his sculpture and held it up to show Teju. It was a perfect replica of the moment when they first met, a human and a Vorac, sharing a simple meal, the beginning of a friendship that changed everything. For Boss Dad, Grim said. For teaching me to remember love. Teju smiled, his eyes bright with tears. For you, buddy. For teaching me that love is the most powerful force in the universe. Dr. Yuno made a final entry in her research log. What we discovered was never really about humans having a special ability to tame monsters. What we discovered was that there were no monsters, only lost souls waiting for someone to show them the way home. As the twin suns of Grimhold Prime set, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, the lights of the restored city began to twinkle like stars. In the distance, the song of the Voidhounds echoed across the landscape, joined by the harmonic hums of the crystal worms and the electrical symphonies of the storm kites. The galaxy had become a place where fear was transforming into understanding, where isolation was giving way to connection, and where the simple act of treating others with kindness was healing wounds that had lasted for centuries. Captain Jamon's final report to Earth Central Command was brief but profound: mission accomplished. The galaxy is no longer a place of monsters and victims. It's a place of neighbors and friends, learning to build a future together. In the years that followed, children across the galaxy would learn the story of Teju and Grim, of how one human's compassion sparked a revolution that transformed the universe. They would learn that the greatest adventures begin not with weapons or conquest, but with the simple willingness to see the good in others and to offer friendship where others offer only fear. The age of monsters was over. The age of miracles had begun. The end.